I'm a girl apple polisher. Actually, it's an onion because I'm quarantined. We make do. Hello, it's Jordana. I started a book called The Vaccine Race. It's by Meredith Wadman, and I can't show you a picture of the cover because it's on my Kindle. This book is about all of the different, we'll say, trials and tribulations that people had to go through in order to develop the vaccines that we all take for granted today. For example, like the mumps, measles, rubella vaccine. Now, everyone is hoping that scientists will develop a vaccine for COVID-19. I don't personally know anyone who would call themselves like an anti-vaxxer, but I'm curious if they would be opposed to the COVID-19 vaccine as well. I've just started chapter 1. It's going through the early life of the scientist who created the cell line that has created a lot of the vaccines we use today. This kid went around his city blowing up sodium after rainstorms. Absolutely amazing to me. I'm also so impressed with Hayflick's manual skills. Like, is this something that all kids learned how to do back then? When he was a kid, he built himself his own lab in his basement to perform chemistry experiments. And then when he was in college, he built a whole new office lab workspace for his dad. Kids, not that long ago, were scared of going in the water during the summertime because they thought they would get polio. That level of paranoia is on my level, where I thought when I was a kid that if I touched something rusted that I would get AIDS. Except that my hypochondria thoughts were not scientifically valid. This guy's, they were. He went crying to his parents because he got wet and thought he could get polio. And that's true. He could have. We take so many things for granted. Running to your parents because you think you have a deadly disease like me is considered a disorder. It also talks about how when he was in high school, he was so upset that he lost a scholarship to a girl apple polisher. This is during an interview in 2012. The first prize was given to a girl apple polisher whose mother sent pies and gifts to her teachers. I wonder how much of that is really true and how much of that is just his perception of this person. Did she actually get it because her mom sucked up to the teachers? I mean, it wouldn't be crazy. People obviously are very social animals. They're going to think more highly of people that like them. I get that. But I wonder how much of it is him just being a product of his time, thinking how could a female end up beating me at this scholarship? It obviously is because she cheated in some way. This girl probably, I don't know, I wasn't there. She very well could have earned it, and he just is going to refuse to accept it because she's female. Now, why am I focusing on this so much? Well, because the author does. After he got the award, he marched into the principal's office and returned it indignantly after learning he had placed second to a female classmate in the race for the coveted Philadelphia Mayor's Scholarship. The author doesn't say just second place. In fact, during the interview in 2012, he himself doesn't just say another classmate. Both he and the author make it a point to say that this is a, quote, female classmate and, quote, girl apple polisher. Here's another thing. I get that he had a humble beginning, but there's definitely still privilege that he had that other people didn't get to have. For example, because he turned down a scholarship to another university, Temple, he wanted to go to Penn. He decided to join the military so he could take advantage of the GI Bill. The GI Bill actually really only applied to white people. Many African American World War II veterans, even though they fought for their country, were unable to get housing like their white counterparts, were unable to get an education like their white counterparts. That's because the GI Bill not only wasn't really made with them in mind, but people in their communities didn't want them. There are literally accounts of people throwing rocks at African American veterans trying to get housing in certain neighborhoods. How many more brilliant scientists like Hayflick do you think we have been denied as a result of this? I also can't help but wonder what happened to that girl apple pusher. Hayflick not only got his tuition paid for with the GI Bill, but also $75 in living expenses. When people think military, they think fighting. How about reading? For part of his time in the military, he was a teacher. Since he had so few students, he basically just got to spend his time reading. Doesn't that sound lovely? Wait. And it doesn't sound at all like my situation right now. He actually had a chauffeur drive him to the library. That sounds awfully nice for being in the military. I guess people now don't really go to libraries as much as they used to because we have the internet and we have Kindles and we have Amazon. I would love it if I had a personal chauffeur just to bring me books. I guess Amazon delivery is kind of like that. I would like it to be free. Libraries are free. But, I'm that weirdo who likes to, look at her books in the years to come. I found an error. The author says, bacteria are enormous compared with viruses. Usually, yes. And this is why, usually, it's important for authors, silly authors, because I'm just so distinguished myself. To avoid definitive statements. What they should have said was, bacteria are usually enormous compared to viruses. That's because some viruses are giant. Some can actually be bigger than bacteria. Not many. There's probably a lot more that we have to discover though. But some, yes. Well, that concludes chapters 1 and 2. Thank you for reading along with me. And to all my girl apple polishers out there, you keep it strong.